Real estate, like the humans who occupy it and invest in it, is complicated. And unless it's a brand new island in Dubai, freshly created out of the ocean, real estate has a complex history of ownership, each piece of real estate. And having a clear record of ownership is vital to preserving its value. Because value in real estate is not just based on its physical condition and characteristics. It is just as important to understand the rights and restrictions that come with the physical asset. The more information we have about a property, the easier and faster it is to access, the more certain we can be of its true market value. As a real estate professional for the past 10 years, I can tell you that my industry is very slow to adopt change. In one way, that's good, because we're dealing with the most expensive thing anyone owns, or most of us own. On the other hand, it's important to recognize that once in a generation, a technological innovation occurs that really has the potential, that clearly has the potential to add a new layer of value on top of the existing system. And it's important that my industry is not afraid of the changes. As we heard today, there's a PR problem. Instead, we need to focus on exploring the technological capabilities and really explore it for wide-scale adoption. I am here to tell you that blockchain technology is that once-in-a-lifetime innovation, and I'm excited to help push my industry into the future. It's definitely a Herculean task, but it has begun. I'm clicking on it. All right. This is my neighbor, Randy. That's his loan officer Dana and I on his closing day. His journey to home ownership took about 2.5 years. Luckily, the actual purchase transaction took only about 45 days, but for over 2 years, he was an orphan tenant. Living in the condo he eventually purchased, just waiting for the bank to foreclose on his landlord because she died without heirs and with negative equity. Separately, about 10 months ago, I was tapped for an advisory role with a startup company working on a blockchain real estate platform. I had been a casual Bitcoin user since about 2014, but I would have never imagined 2 years later I would be speaking at a conference on blockchain technology. Because my expertise is in people and properties. And the guys at Ubitquity needed just that. Someone knowledgeable enough with blockchain technology that they wouldn't have to do a lot of educating, but someone whose main expertise is with people and properties, and the real world of people and properties. They needed to ensure that the platform would genuinely benefit my industry and solve specific pain points that I see on a daily basis. Help develop use cases which would actually showcase the non-financial use of distributed ledger technology, and to overcome the public relations issues related to Bitcoin. To educate and communicate to my industry, where some people still have AOL email addresses, in ways that would be meaningful and relevant. Because speaking to title professionals, real estate agents, and government officials in the different land records offices is a very different experience than speaking to technology innovators who are inherently excited about the promise of this technology. and the new capabilities that it promises to bring us. Very quickly, my role grew from simply an advisor to a key partner on the core team, and after about 3-4 months of tweaking the platform, I realized we were finished. And we had a very basic but fully functioning software as a service platform for recording real estate transactions onto the Bitcoin blockchain. So I proposed we record my next transaction on the blockchain using our new platform. And the timing couldn't be better, because my next transaction was Randy purchasing his condo right upstairs in my building. And while any of my next transactions would have done the job, recording my friend's purchase in the building I call home made it particularly meaningful. Luckily, the bank took over 2 years to foreclose and to acknowledge his landlord's death certificate, because that gave us enough time to develop the platform and finally be ready. So I became the first person to record a real estate transfer onto the blockchain. And Randy's condo became the very first real property digital asset on the Bitcoin blockchain that we know of. Now, of course, we didn't replace the existing process, the actual process required to legally transfer a piece of real estate in Norfolk, Virginia. That's where I live. We simply added a parallel process that recorded the purchase transaction on the blockchain. Interestingly, I keep going the wrong way. That's actually the recording. I'll get back to that. Interestingly, the city of Norfolk was so slow to update their digital records that for 19 days after his settlement, our record was the only record on the internet showing the most accurate information on the current owner. Every other digital record still showed Fannie Mae as being the current owner of the property. My arrows got a little skewed there, but you can see the difference in dates. Now, let me be clear. We are not proposing a world where real estate is tokenized and exchanged like Bitcoin. That's too simplistic for something complex and multifaceted like real estate. Instead, we see the digital asset as more of a digital file cabinet, collecting information associated with the property over the property's lifespan. Every time a new document is recorded, it is digitally attached to the property, and an immutable digital chain of title is created. Real estate is a long-term investment, accruing value over time, and blockchain adoption in real estate record keeping also needs to be viewed as a long-term investment, accruing value through gradual adoption using innovative custom platforms that fit the particular standards and laws of each municipality or country. Building up property records one block at a time, and eventually leading to a new layer of records on top of the existing one. According to the American Land Title Association, about 30% of all title searches today come back with a defect of some type. It might be anything from simple human error to actual malicious intent. Some examples might be incorrect dates on notarized documents, incomplete legal description of the land, deed recorded but not properly indexed with the city, missing heirs from an estate, falsified deed or notarization, and much, much more. I have a list that's 2 pages long, and it's not a complete list. Sometimes the issues might only take a few days to correct and not be expensive. Sometimes a few weeks, maybe a few months. My own closing was delayed by 3 months because of various title issues. And once in a while, a deal falls through completely because the title defect is so complicated that no one can actually estimate how long it will take to fix. And so the buyer simply cancels the contract. They don't have time to sit around waiting. And by this point, money has been spent on inspections, appraisals, surveys, arrangements have been made for households to move, and everyone involved experiences significant hardship. And typically these are not investment properties. More often than not, these are regular families waiting to move into their new home. Kids needing to start school in the new school year, and many other complexities of life scheduled to coordinate with the settlement date. A problem conveying clear title to one property could affect another transaction that's contingent on the successful sale of the one in question, creating a magnified domino effect of potentially avoidable hardship. We imagine a future where it's not just record of ownership that is tracked using blockchain technology, but that there's such widespread adoption that every document, all pertinent information about every major occurrence in that property's lifespan is digitally recorded and tracked. Some examples of relevant documents might be future surveys, flood elevation certificates, renovation warranties, etc. Like a health digital record for your property. A property record that detailed would definitely add to the property's value, because we would be able to know where the septic system is, anything that has happened to the property over time. As a real estate agent, if I am trying to sell a property that has been foreclosed on, I don't have any historical records typically, and I can value it much better if I do. A recent Goldman Sachs report from May 2016 estimates that blockchain technology could eventually create $2 to $4 billion in cost savings in the US housing industry. Mostly from modernizing and creating more efficient systems and processes, which would eventually reduce, not fully eliminate, but reduce significant costly manual review and significantly reduce future title insurance claims. Internationally, particularly in the developing world, the opportunity exists to unlock vast wealth and economic development. Helping developing nations create or improve their land registration systems would help eliminate corruption, land rights abuses, encourage significant investment, and open up credit markets to previously untapped regions of the world. So whether it's modernizing and cleaning up the legacy systems of North America and other developed nations, or improving and formalizing and simply creating the record systems in the developing world, implementing this technology will take vision and commitment from governments and other market players. This technology is transformative and it must be leveraged properly. Blockchain technology is experiencing rapid growth, and growth and innovation is wonderful, but the historical significance of the records we are creating means there's no time to waste. We want to ensure the systems of record that we devise are trustworthy and useful to our society in the future, as useful as possible. So I'm not here simply to showcase Ubitquity's platform. Our working platform is just a taste of what's possible. More broadly, I have a message for all governments around the world. We need your attention and, most importantly, your cooperation. We are not the architects, nor the enforcers of the complex laws and regulations that exist in land record systems. We will need to form strategic partnerships. Those partnerships need to be with the official authorities that do govern those records. Together, we can create customized platforms that fit each governing authority's particular laws and standards. These customized platforms could be built to not only track land records, but they could be expanded for tracking tax collection and administrative processes of all kinds. Revenue collection will be streamlined and will likely increase the amount of revenue that's coming in. Blockchain technology promises to help us re-engineer the behind-the-scenes architecture of many industries in our economy, but blockchain technology in real estate record keeping in the title industry will not be as fast as adoption is in banking and other fintech industries. There, the settlement process, each transaction represents a complete life cycle. So those are the low-hanging fruit. To realize the enormous savings that the Goldman Sachs report estimates, we need to form strategic partnerships and create pilot programs in the specific localities. Because we need to interpret and engineer the technological architecture of official record keeping. And that's a complicated job. The bottom line is that efficiency reduces cost and removes barriers to entry in markets. And I think the world is truly starting to grasp the enormous impact that distributed ledger technology will make on our future. So having the depth of understanding I do about how the technology works, and specifically the non-financial use of blockchain for authentic record keeping, I can tell you that this evolution is inevitable, and we are at the forefront of its development. I'm sure you guys are all wondering what we're actually doing currently. Ubitquity, as a company, we have a lot of things going on. We have been embraced by academia significantly. These are just some logos that I got before I left. We actually have more than this. We were approached and are collaborating on a research project on blockchain technology with a professor from the University of British Columbia, who's also affiliated with the World Bank. She's investigating the use of blockchain for record keeping for specifically the people of Canada. One of the members of the team has been to MIT twice. We were invited twice this past year to be on a panel and to participate and speak specifically at MIT's Center for Real Estate. We were also on a panel in Columbia University earlier this year. And most recently, just days before I left, we were approached by Cambridge Center for Alternative Financial and Academic Research. That is a lot of researchers being interested in what we're doing, because what we're doing is, again, it's very, we have to consider regulation. We have to consider the way that ownership of real estate is actually viewed and how it's actually viewed as being legal and effective. And so the researchers approaching us are really examining this in order to make sure we create, it's a mutually beneficial relationship. We want their help and they want to help us and create proper structures so that our platform is really useful in the future once more and more records are built on it. We actually used the recent election in the US to reach out to a lot of politicians, a lot of local county recorders and people who would be the ones we would want to partner with. And we used the election to reach out and give them talking points. Hey, you know, you can look cooler than your competitor, you can talk about saving money, taxpayer money, and being innovative. And that helped us actually get responses from them, and all of them said, yeah, as soon as I win, we're gonna look into this, my first 100 days, we're gonna create a pilot program. And, so that was good timing for us. We have a lot of interest from the private sector, title insurance companies. We've recently partnered with a national title company, Priority Title and Escrow, and their CEO joined as an advisor. And we actually are talking to one of the 4 big title insurance companies in the US. They are also, besides government, we need their participation to really kind of integrate into the systems that already exist. We're obviously actively talking to angel investors and other interested parties. And of course, we're continuing to build and refine our platform for 2017, coming out with some additional features, and just looking forward to actually getting actual market players to tell us what they want to see and helping kind of build everything into the current system that exists. Thank you.
Thank you, Marina. Right. Any questions?
Thank you. Very interesting.
Yeah, good.
Very interesting presentation. Thank you very much. Have a question. So what is the biggest problem for the US market? Is it mostly the speed of transaction, or is it something to do with trust to the databases? And if it is the later, the question is, well, it's still us humans who are entering the transactions. Like, for example, in supply chains, we are able to automate that part and make it more technical, but I would say it would be quite difficult to do so in real estate. So how do you overcome that? Because it's still people who are entering the
Yes.
information.
Yeah, we're not, first of all, we don't envision a future where just anyone can simply record, I'm not gonna record that I own this building and have it be legal. So what we're doing is basically mimicking what already exists and making a digital, blockchain version of it in a way. So only trusted parties like title companies who currently have the ability and the legal right to enter the information and record the information normally the way that they do when real estate transfers are the ones who we envision using the system. And yes, humans will continue to enter the information. But currently one of the biggest problems is the information simply being either lost or, like in the 20-day window that you saw, there are things, unless you search the big books that the paper-heavy industry has for recording real estate, it's very difficult for this to be as open and as transparent as you'd really want it to be in the modern world. And so it's simply digitizing and making it permanent, even if someone makes a mistake. For example, when I recorded the transaction using the Colu Colored Coins API, I made a mistake, and so then I recorded it again. And so it's okay to make a mistake. It just tracks every single thing that's ever happened. When I was purchasing my property, one of the documents, the deed, the foreclosure deed, had an incorrect date. And so the notary just dated it for the day before the actual deed was created, which obviously is a problem. It took about a month to fix that because of other issues in the system as well, but those are the kind of things that we would avoid, those administrative mistakes, or at least if we don't avoid them, they're clearly recorded, who did it, when, and it's just gonna be more transparent and easier to correct. So we're not expecting to have complete perfection once this system is implemented. We're just seeing it as more of a way to cleaning up house and keeping it clean from this point on. And even if mistakes are made, you just see a record of it, and it's not just completely missing documents or nobody knows who recorded this, or it's more digitally available, so you can see it from across the world. And when you're looking at properties and evaluating the value of a property, maybe you're shopping from across the world, you don't want to have to spend all this money researching, paying someone to go to each city to research everything in person. We're hoping to have everything be more accessible and not necessarily as accurate as possible with humans entering it, but transparent and immutable. Does that answer the question?
Thank you. If we've got no more questions, we were a little bit behind time, we'll wrap up. So thank you very much, Marina. So from